Hello, it's over a week since I put up that first video, and I want to go through the comments and interact with people because I know there is sisters and brothers and those committed to the will of God that are commenting, and we need to edify and encourage each other in this hour. Now, there's a particular topic I just want to address, but just an update, just to clarify. I'm a tenant for 6 years. That the rent continues to be paid. The utilities were in my name. My landlord cut everything off, water, electricity. It's over a month. I'm not counting the days because I'm in God's will, not mine. I have no plan. I have no idea what's going to happen next. No clue. But I have to submit to God, and I have to obey God rather than men. And I have to submit to God's standards and stand for unlawful, abusive behaviour that is unacceptable to me. And I've maintained the property for 6 years, so the landlord has done nothing, and that's all at a cost to myself as well. So I'm not doing this for myself. So the rent increase that the landlord tried to increase the rent, I was coming up on around 4 years here. That was fun. I never refused to pay it. I started to pay it, and then his behaviour was so abusive. I had to submit. He wasn't following guidelines and giving me, he wasn't following the guidelines of giving me 3 months and all the rules that go with it. I don't know. It was my first time in this situation. So he wasn't, he wasn't allowing me the space. And I had to submit a dispute application with the Residential Tenancies Board, who advised me and told me to cease paying that rent increase that he tried to take illegally until the application is processed. Now, that is where this began, and that completely backfired on me. That didn't deter him. So there's been an effort from not just the landlord. I've had one of his family harass me, let himself into my home. I've had so many crimes committed against me. His behaviour, he has broken laws. His behaviour is so abusive, and I'm not going to be bullied into submission. I'm not going to have somebody else tell me what should and shouldn't be acceptable to me in my own home. So I just want to clarify, the rent continues to be paid, and you're either committed to the will of God or you're not. You're either wheat or tares. So which are you? So I couldn't, given the rent increase of €400, the majority of that was going to come from the Exchequer. As I'm a recipient of the housing assistance payment. Now that's extortion. And I knew what was going on. And I cannot, in my own heart and conscience, say I'm committed to the Word of God, call myself an actual Christian who's in the Word of God every day, and accept that. When I'm looking around at what's going on and everything that's been taken from people, including myself. So I was standing for accountability, and that didn't happen. And it's unacceptable. I've been bullied at every turn. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe it myself. And that's all I asked for. But this world despises the truth. And so I'm not standing for myself. I have faith in the Lord. I have faith. I know his promises are true. I know his words are true. I know that I didn't get here overnight. And I knew this decision, I was going to be in this position sometime, I assumed, kind of off in the future, further away. But this is presented to me. And I can't conform to that. It is so corrupt. And a lot of these corrupt landlords are not even living in the country, and they have several properties. And they're exploiting the tenant. This is their agenda. This is their plan. It's like a game of Monopoly to him. So these aren't just properties for people to profit off. They're somebody's home. And the tenant has absolutely no rights in this country of Ireland. None. Absolutely none. And it's been so extremely stressful. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I'm staying put. I don't know what God's plan is. I don't know how this is going to play out. But this is what man creates, like I've said already, creates this chaos and creates this whole situation. And so many people jump on the bandwagon and profit. Now, there's something else that came to my attention yesterday. Now, I've been looking at this for a long time, and I'm going to speak for a minute about PIETA House. Now, I survived a suicide attempt over 20 years ago. I was in ICU in Merlin Park Hospital in Galway, and I should never have left it with what I did. I should not have survived. I shouldn't have. And to look at the individuals profiting, massive, it's disgusting. And now this is, I want to just highlight this because this is what's been going on behind closed doors since we were all locked up in 2020. So when people are at their most vulnerable, this is what's going on behind closed doors. It's bleed. It's so easy to finish a person off when they're down. So this is all going on in the last 4 to 5 years. The extortion behind closed doors of money from the Exchequer is just unbelievable to me. Now, I know that dark place. And suicide is not a health or a medical issue. It's a trauma issue. So people are being bullied to death, literally. So the child of 15, this is the number one cause of death now in Ireland for a child of 15. There's nothing wrong with that child's mind. They're being bullied to death, literally. So this is what we have. So the focus is never on the perpetrator. So a person has, it just suffers at the hands of an abuser, has injustice. They receive an end of so much injustice. They're not being heard. That person needs to be heard, but that's not what's happened. That is never, this system, the country has never operated like that. Abuse of power is just normal. So the focus then is on the victim or the vulnerable person who is traumatized. And the perpetrator just carries on. There's no accountability. And people are having a natural human reaction to being abused and to experiencing injustice. So that's what the solution is. But man doesn't have the solution because man created the mess in the first place. So I need to submit and obey God rather than men. So this PIETA house that was set up, now this fundraiser is coming up, Darkness into Light. There's no light in this world. And the profiting individuals, the money that these people are paying themselves, and the suicide, we have a suicide epidemic, it's escalating. So this is what has been going on over the last 4 years. There was a fundraiser. There was a massive fundraiser on the Late Late Show. So there's an article here in the Echo in 2021. PIETA House were looking for like €400,000 for redundancy. So I've just picked a couple of things because there's so much to unpack. It's just utter. It's extortion. It's not reaching the people on the ground. It's all. It was set up. Joan Freeman, a politician, a psychologist, and a mental health activist. This was set up in 2006 for no other reason than to fast track a person into the mental health service. Get you in the door faster, cut out the middleman, cut out the GP referral. And that is the only reason it was set up. And it's presented as something beneficial and lovely and all, contributes to society. It does not. It's extortion what's going on. And we have a CEO and people in the top positions in this PIETA house paying themselves a salary of up to €150,000. And people, thousands of people now just looking into a black hole because they're desperate. They need to be heard. So they need the truth. That's what they need. They need the word of God because man doesn't have the solution. People don't save people. So there was a massive fundraiser on the Late Late Show. And in addition, €2.5 million given to PIETA House by government. PIETA's CEO and whoever else wrote to the HSE and government several times in 2020 calling for a financial boost of 4.4 million. This is what's going on when we were all locked up. It just blows my mind. And trauma, people are traumatized. So there's a mental health system that will not acknowledge trauma. Justice is not being served. It won't be, because vengeance is the Lord and he will repay. And I know that. I know that's the truth. So this is the extortion, and there's so much more. So this is only a small piece of it. So I knew that this was extortion. I could see what the agenda was and where this housing assistance payment was rolled out and set up for everything that was deliberately orchestrated. Because when you have prophetic truth, you're looking at everything through spiritual eyes. You understand biblically, spiritually, what's unfolding, and you know that it's not going to get better. So I have to stand, because this is a legal system that has normalized 72 genders are now recognised by law in Ireland. It's insanity. So a child's been told it can be a cat or a dog. That's natural. Now, God does not make mistakes, and children are traumatised because God has been kicked out of every school in Ireland. That's why. They need the truth. They don't need a psychiatrist, they need the truth. So I will not conform to that, because the money is coming out of the exchequer. Never has there been more people in mortgage arrears and everything else that's going on. So that's just one sort of a little bit, just exposing a bit of the extortion that's going on. And that's why I'm standing, because I knew it was going to get worse, and what happens the next time he breaks the law and all of this. So when you're in the will of God and you're adhering to God's standards, it's in conflict with the world, because looking through everything with physical eyes, on the surface, you're not seeing all of this, the biblical and spiritual truth. You can't see it with the naked eye. So we know, those of us in the Word of God. So we're the wheat or the tares. You're either committed to the will of God or you're not. There can be no compromise in this hour.